just love that these are these animated squirrels, the Dead Sea Squirrels. Why did you want to bring their story to the big screen?
Well, it's an idea that's sort of percolating in my mind, a number of years ago, back in my VeggieTales days, and I thought it would be really fun to bring characters from the first century into kind of the modern world, into the 21st century. And one of the lines that we drew in the sand very early on with VeggieTales was to never depict Jesus as a vegetable. We just thought that would be too irreverent, and we did a lot of obviously told a lot of Old Testament stories, told some New Testament stories. We did tell the story of Christmas and Easter, but in ways that kind of didn't break that rule. But I just wanted an opportunity to tell more New Testament stories to kids in a really fun way, and so that's kind of where this idea came from. And it's sort of like Encino Man meets the Dead Sea Scrolls, and so then the next thing that came into my mind was, oh, okay, Dead Sea Squirrels. It's a bad dad pun, and so yeah, so that's the idea. And then when I left Big Idea in 2016, I started to pitch the idea, and a good friend of mine, Dan Lynch. Who'd been in publishing for a long time, asked if I'd ever consider this an early reader series, and I hadn't, but I thought that was a great idea. So I developed kind of the concept into an early reader series, and he set up a pitch with me with Tyndale Publishers, and I pitched it, and they loved it, and I started writing the books. And so, but so that's kind of how it got started. But it was that born from that kind of desire to be able to tell really fun stories involving more of the New Testament, where for kids to really grasp those concepts, hear more about the life of and ministry of Jesus, and then really to one of the things about the story is it's modern. It's a modern story, but we flash back to first century. But we spend a lot of time in modern Israel, and so I was a map kid when I was I loved kind of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, all those, and so that idea of having a place where I know where the characters are going around and kind of getting an idea of geography. I just felt that would be valuable for kids too, to get an idea of the geography of the Holy Land, that it's a real place that exists, rather than just something that we hear in stories in Sunday school.
What were some challenges you faced bringing, children's animation to life in 2025 versus the 90s when you made VeggieTales? What does the kind of landscape look like compared
Oh,
to then?
it's so different. The big thing about the late 80s, early 90s was the advent of home video, and the opportunity to tell, and the birth of computer animation as well, which that was all very new. Those kind of two things kind of came together for us with VeggieTales. But Christian bookstores were, a much bigger thing back in those days too. So to create a show that you could put on home video that could be sold in a Christian bookstore, that was the market at the time with VeggieTales, and that business model lasted for quite a while, until early mid 2000s, or kind of the 2010 era area. And so, nowadays it's all about streaming. And so the gatekeepers now are the streaming services, and so there's the production component, raising the money to produce a film or a series, getting that ready to go. But then the question is, okay, where do you put it? Where do you put it to be able to monetize it and be able to afford the cost of production? And so that's been the challenge, and I think that's the challenge with a lot of creators. It's just getting that onto having a streaming service or a partner that you can work with to get it out there to folks.
So why Minnow? Why was this a good place for this show to land?
Oh, it was, Minno's fantastic. We did our deal through the Wonder Project. They're actually working on House of David, and they've got a partnership with Amazon, and that House of David will be coming out soon. So our initial deal was with the Wonder Project, and then they sub-licensed the series to Minno. And Minno is the perfect place for us, just because it's a Christian streaming service. They've got a lot of great content on there. VeggieTales is also on Minno, and they've got a wonderful team. I think they're meeting a need in the marketplace where parents who want good quality content for their kids that they can trust, go. And so we couldn't be more thrilled.
What I've
And
always loved about you, and you kind of mentioned it with not ever showing Jesus as a vegetable, is you do try to be reverent
yeah.
while also balancing humor. What does that process look like? How do you find that balance between humor and reverence?
Yeah, I love to. I think I love character-based humor, kind of based off of, characters who have, flaws that, you can find the humor in. I think that was certainly true of Bob and Larry, and that's what I love about Merle and Pearl as well. They're characters with flaws that are goofy and silly, but what they're talking about, the principles that they're talking about, they can still hold with reverence. And so, if Michael is having trouble telling the truth about a silly situation of trying to blame his sister for something, they can go back and talk about a Bible story that really kind of deals with the importance of truth telling. And so holding the message up with reverence, but having fun with the humor with the characters, I think is the key.
So this is a multi-year deal. So
Mhm.
what can we look forward to maybe in the future of the Dead Sea Squirrels?
Well, so the animated series is based off of my 12 book series. So there's 13 animated shows based off 12 books that are out now with Tyndale Publishers, and I've just signed a new 12 book deal with Tyndale. And so I'm in the midst of writing those books, and hopefully that will turn into another animated series, season two of Squirrels. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a long animation is a long process. But we've got a great team, and the stories that we're developing. Season one kind of has an overall arc, but it leaves room for something to happen next. And so we've kind of developed the idea of that second overall story, and we're executing that now.
Why do you think we haven't seen anything like VeggieTales since it came out? My kids still, I mean, I have to listen to the belly button song every time I get in the car.
Oh,
And
nice.
this is 2025 and you made these decades ago, but
Yeah.
there's been such a lack of quality children's content.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, part of that is I think what we were able to build with Big Idea and the team there at just that created VeggieTales was just really special. It takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of talent, to put something like that together. And I'm hoping Squirrels can kind of be that next thing, because I'm really excited about the team. We've got great folks that we're working with on both on the art and business side. So it's just part of it is just hard. It's just hard to do something like that. And we're hoping Squirrels can do that. But yeah, I think that's what it is. It takes resources, and it takes people with just gifts and a lot of talent and a lot of drive to be able to produce quality content.
So, Mike, what is your hope for the Dead Sea Squirrels animated show?
Well, I hope that kids will fall in love with Merle and Pearl. I hope that they will, care about what they say. I hope that they learn key lessons of the Bible. I hope ultimately that kind of like we talked about with VeggieTales for so many years, that God made them special and He loves them very much, and that they learn more about Jesus. And so that's my hope ultimately with the Dead Sea Squirrels.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more Christ-centered journalism.